You feel his presence. Even before you understand, you already notice the weight that fills the air. It's as if the darkness is breathing nearby, as if the silence has been occupied by a gaze that can't be explained. You tried to ignore it. You tried to convince yourself that it was just imagination. But there's something in your skin, something in the way your body reacts that can't be erased. He was there, and you know it. It doesn't matter if no one believes you. It doesn't matter if they call it paranoia, because when someone's gaze is fixed on you, even from the shadows, your soul senses it before your mind does. And you felt it. That perception does not lie. Today, your peace has shattered, not because you did something wrong, but because someone hidden in the gloom decided that they needed to cross the boundary of the invisible. And now, you feel the weight of that choice. There's a detail that keeps returning to your memory, the sensation that the air grew thicker when you breathed, as if you had inhaled a fragment of his presence, as if the shadow had entered your lungs and spread through your blood. You don't know his face, but you know his intent. The perception is clear. Someone didn't just observe. Someone desired. Someone touched you without making contact. And that invisible touch is as invasive as the most brutal of gestures. Now, as you read this, you realize that your mind is searching for answers. You wonder why. What drives someone to hide and observe in silence? What binds a gaze to the point of becoming a prison for another? The truth is that there is no coincidence here. This encounter was marked by the invisible. And tonight the mask falls away. His truth threatens your fragile peace. Because it's no longer about imagination. It's real. And reality weighs heavily. You always believed that the greatest pain came from spoken words, but you are discovering that the most intense pain arises from the unspoken, from what hangs in the air, from what was felt but never confessed, what tears from within without ever being spoken. It's at this point that the night becomes cruel, because you realize there's someone who has built a secret around you, and now that secret is unraveling before your eyes, even without proof, even without evidence. Your whole body screams the truth it tried to hide. This truth doesn't ask for permission. It invades, dismantles, destroys the fragile peace you tried to preserve. You didn't choose it, but there's no way to escape. Think about it. How many times have you felt something you couldn't explain? How many times has your perception been ignored because there was no logic to support it? And how many times, later on, did you discover that what you felt was accurate, certain, unavoidable? If this has happened to you, comment, "I needed to hear this." Now you are faced with yet another one of those experiences. This time it's not just a vague intuition, it's a harsh revelation. His gaze, hidden in the shadows, can no longer be denied, because today you finally recognized the impact. This is the mark of the night, the moment when the invisible becomes unbearably perceptible. You know there's no turning back. When perception opens up, there's no closing it again. It's as if a mirror has been shattered inside you, and the shards now reflect fragments of a truth you would have preferred never to see. He was there, still, but present, distant, but invasive. You didn't hear footsteps. You didn't feel a physical touch. But something crossed the boundary between him and you, and that crossing left invisible scars. This is the most subtle form of violence, the one that cannot be reported but eats away silently, the one that no one believes, but that you feel on your skin, like a chill that won't go away. You might wonder, why me? Why did this shadow choose my life, my space, my night? The answer isn't out there, it's inside. Your sensitivity has always been your strength and your vulnerability. From an early age, you noticed things others didn't. You noticed silences, restrained gestures, diverted glances. While others laughed without a care, you already felt the weight hidden within the lines. This perception is a gift, but it's also a prison. Because seeing what's concealed means carrying burdens that many prefer to ignore. And today, once again, this sensitivity is the door through which the truth entered, tearing apart your peace. He believed that silence would protect him, that if he stayed in the shadows, you would never uncover the truth. But there is no shadow that can withstand the clarity of someone born to perceive. You don't need external proof. Your body is the proof. Your soul is the proof. Your heart knows before reason does. It's curious how the mind tries to deny it. You argue with yourself. You say, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it's just my imagination. But the body doesn't lie. The body exposes the truth that the mind tries to suffocate. You realized. And in the moment you realized, nothing could ever be the same. This is the tragedy of revelation. It never returns what ignorance offered. There is no going back to innocence once the truth reveals itself. And no matter how much you want to sleep peacefully, your rest has already been hijacked by the memory of the shadow. It seems unfair, doesn't it? You didn't ask for this. You didn't seek this. But life in some way knew you would have to face it. Not just his presence, but what he represents. Because the issue isn't merely a hidden gaze. The issue is everything that unveils itself through him. The unspoken desire, the unconfessed weight, the intention that wasn't expressed but vibrates in the air. You wonder, does he even realize the impact he has? Does he know that he robbed your peace just by existing in the shadows? Or does he, in his twisted mind, believe he's harmless? This doubt is like poison, because you don't have all the answers, and the lack of answers corrodes just as much as the revelation. But still, one thing remains certain: you know, and that's enough. Perception, no matter how painful it may be, is a gift. It saves you from deception. It prevents you from living in an illusion. It pulls you from the surface and takes you into the depths. But I know you didn't want this. You just wanted peace. You just wanted to rest. You just wanted to live a moment of normalcy. And once again, life has brought something that feels bigger than you can bear. Now, the big question isn't whether he was there. The big question is, what are you going to do about it? You can pretend you didn't see. You can try to bury the perception. You can convince yourself it was just imagination. But your soul will not allow it. The memory will keep coming back. The presence will keep weighing on you until you accept that there's no way to deny it. This is the dilemma of the sensitive, to live between clarity and the weight of what cannot be proven, but is too real to ignore. And inside you, a part already knows that this night isn't just about him. It's about you. It's about how your life will be shaped by this revelation. Because every truth that comes to light changes not just the present, but also the future. You might think, how do I move on from this? And I say, by moving forward, with perception ignited, with a steadier gaze, with a more prepared soul. It's not easy, but it's necessary, and if you've lived something similar, tell me in the comments. Now close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. You still feel the shadow, don't you? It hasn't gone away, but now you are no longer a passive victim. Now you are a lucid witness, and that changes everything. What he hid for so long has become apparent, and once revealed, it can no longer be hidden. You start to realize that the night has turned into a silent battleground. There are no visible weapons. There are no voices shouting, but something much more dangerous exists. His invisible presence and the impact it has within you. The body responds before the mind. Every muscle seems on edge. Every breath feels too short. You realize that you're not just reacting to what has happened, but also to what could happen. This is the true poison of the shadow. It doesn't just invade the present, but casts fear over the future. And then comes the burning question: until when? Until when will you have to feel this invasion? Until when will your peace be held hostage by what cannot be seen, yet is too perceptible to be ignored? Maybe it will never say anything. Maybe it will never reveal itself. Maybe it will continue to believe that silence protects its truth, but you know there's no silence that can hide what has already been sensed. The most disturbing part isn't what it does, but what you feel. Because feeling is not a choice. Feeling is inevitable. And the more you try to disconnect, the more the memory returns, the more the body remembers, the more the soul insists. This insistence has a purpose. Life does not allow you to ignore what is essential, and the essential is precisely this. The revelation that came today is no accident. It's a summons, a calling for you to face what you've been avoiding. Maybe you don't realize it now. Maybe everything seems just pain, just invasion, just a loss of peace. But at some deeper point, there's a movement happening within you, a movement that goes beyond it, a movement that is transforming how you see yourself, how you position yourself, how you protect yourself. It doesn't know, but by trying to destroy your peace, it awakens something within you that was dormant, a force that arises precisely from awareness. Because to perceive is not just to suffer. To perceive is also to arm yourself with clarity, and clarity, no matter how painful, is always a more powerful shield than ignorance. Now you understand that fragility isn't in feeling too much. Fragility would be in perceiving nothing. Those who do not perceive live at the mercy, deceived, manipulated. You, on the contrary, see beyond. And this vision, even when it hurts, is what ensures your survival. But let's not romanticize the pain. You are tired. You wanted rest. Having to carry this additional weight is cruel. There's no explanation that can soften this. What exists is the silence of the night, the echo of the shadow, and the impact that remains within you. So, allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to acknowledge that it hurts. Don't run from the truth of your own reaction, because denying what you feel only increases the confinement. Acceptance is the first step toward transformation, and at this point, you notice something new. The shadow doesn't have as much power as it seemed. It can't erase your truth. It can't silence your perception. It can't destroy what you have built within yourself. It might try to steal your peace, but it can't steal your awareness, and awareness is always greater. Now imagine for a moment that he knew how much you've already understood. If he knew that your presence in the shadows is no longer a secret, that your truth has already been exposed even without words, how would he react? You realize that in this silent game, power has shifted. Power is no longer with him. Power is now with you, because you've realized. And once you realize, there's no turning back. If this resonates with you so far, write yes down below. The night continues, but you are no longer the same person who entered it. There's something different in your eyes, something different in your chest. And even though the pain is still present, it's no longer just pain, it's also awakening. And this awakening is dangerous, not for you, but for him, because he thrived on secrecy, invisibility, and shadows. And now, your perception has shattered all of that. You see him, you know, and knowing is the first step toward liberation. Tomorrow, when the daylight comes, you may still feel remnants of the invasion. You might still carry the heavy sensation of having been watched, but along with that, you will also carry the certainty. Your peace no longer depends on ignoring. Your peace is born from the courage to perceive and not run away, and this is the beginning of a new story, not because he disappeared, but because you appeared to yourself in a way that has never happened before. You made it here, and you know it hasn't been easy. Each line you crossed opened even more space for perception within you, and now there's no turning back. His truth shattered a fragile peace, but at the same time it awakened something in you that can no longer be erased. The pain was real. The invasion was real, but even more real is the fact that you survived. To realize has never been a punishment. It has always been a calling. A call to look where no one looks. A call to feel what many refuse to feel. A call to bear the clarity that scares, but also saves. Now you know. The silence of the shadows is not empty. It speaks. It reveals. And within that silence, you found the truth you needed. Yes, you were hurt. Yes, your peace was touched. But there is a strength that arises right there. In that place where it seemed there was only fragility, the most powerful resistance emerges. Have you noticed that you are not alone in this experience? There are others who have felt hidden gazes. There are others who have lost sleep because of invisible presences. And when you talk about it, when you acknowledge it, something within them also awakens. That's why sharing your perception is not just about freeing yourself. It's about liberating those who still live in the darkness without a name. Think with me. How many times have you been called dramatic? How many times have they said you imagine too much, feel too much, see too much? And yet here you are once again validated by life itself. It wasn't exaggeration, it was perception. And to perceive is always the gift that keeps you alive. You can choose now, you can choose to carry this revelation as a burden that ties you to fear. Or you can choose to carry it as the key that frees you from illusion. His shadow is not larger than your truth. It never was. And even if his gaze returns, even if his shadow insists, you are no longer the same. Because now you know how to recognize. Now you know how to feel without denial. Now you know how to transform pain into awakening. If this resonated with you, leave a heart in the comments below. I want to see who is on this journey with me. But before we finish, I need you to listen carefully. The story doesn't end here. This was just the first revelation. And there are even deeper layers waiting to be uncovered. Layers that show not only who he is, but who you truly are in all of this. You've seen the shadow. Now you need to see the origin. You need to understand where this gaze, this weight, this silence comes from, and only then will you be able to realize what life has been trying to teach all along. This video was just the opening of the door. The next one is the inevitable step to cross through. Don't stop here. Don't let the shadow dictate the end of your story. If this video made you think, the next one will turn you inside out. Click now and continue with me.